Hey there, this is Beth, and back with another installation of Froud's Fairies Oracle. Today, we're talking about the Singer of Healing. I'm backwards today, so it's confusing for me. The Singer of Healing, I feel like in the Singers is where we start to get more solid. You're still dealing with these huge, huge energies that are very non-corporeal, but the aspects that they're bringing into our lives are more tangible and more easily understood. Like the divine ecstasy of ecstasis is very hard to fully comprehend, as is unity of everything, and fully comprehend it and fully bring it in. Right? We can get like little specks of those things. But something like healing, we know what healing is. Healing is sickness, healing our mind, healing our souls, healing ourselves to be whole. You know, it's a powerful thing with healing to bring that in, especially when you start getting healing come up. You know it's time to let things go. And often healing does involve some form of release, forgiveness, letting go of, whether it's holding on to something in your body, such as an illness, or not being able to forgive someone from 20 years ago, or even two years ago, or forgive yourself, releasing fears, doubts, all that kind of stuff. All that goes into healing, and bringing healing in is one of those things that you really want to do. When this card pops up, you want to welcome it into your life and start working with it, because it's always a choice. You always have the choice to heal or not to heal. But when you let yourself heal, you not only heal yourself, but you start healing the others around you. You start healing the world. You start helping heal the universe. It's not just you that heals. It's so many different things start to expand out from that one incidence of healing within yourself. And it helps you move out of those moments where you want to hold on to that feeling of that person who screwed you over, or this person did that to you, or you weren't good enough. Whatever it is you need to let go of, that this is the card that's going to help you do it. And even dealing with chronic illness, you hit a point where you have to just accept where you are. I discovered I was allergic to milk in my early 20s, and I was snotty, I had sinus infections, I had a headache all the time. And the biomedical model was doing nothing for me but giving me more pills that didn't do anything except relieve my symptoms. I made the connection that the milk allergy, and then I made the decision to leave the biomedical model and go to acupuncturist. I would walk out of her place pain-free. And it was so freaking awesome. But at the same time, I had to let a lot of things go. I can't drink milk. My inner ears swell up. I will never be able to drink milk again. Luckily, I've been able to introduce cheese, but I still can't chow down on cheese like how I want it, how I used to eat it. That involved a letting go. That involved release. That involved me saying, this is where I'm at. I can't eat dairy. I didn't eat dairy hardly at all for about 2 years. And not because I wanted to, because I really wanted that hunk of cheese, to tell you the truth, and some cheese pizza. I had to make some drastic changes, which included cutting out any form of milk product for a long time. And even just eating something in, say, a granola bar, I can tell I get snotty and my ears would swell up. That stepping into healing for me was being able to find someone who could work with me on a modality of that allergy and in a way that was actually going to heal me. And definitely working with the acupuncture on that did more for me than the biomedical model ever did. Still to this day. But it was a willingness to step into that, to make the changes that were going to help me heal. If you don't make the changes and you stay where you are, the healing is going to be a lot harder, and it's going to be more like going through the hedgerow backwards as opposed to skinning through more fluidly. Forgiveness is often a big topic with healing, of forgiving things, of letting go, of using love and compassion, and not it's a healing involves a language of love and kindness and compassion. And being human, those are things we're always striving for. We're always striving to bring them in. And sometimes bringing in love, compassion, kindness is challenging, especially if you've been hurt horribly by someone. And don't get me wrong, forgiveness does not mean you excuse someone's bad behavior. You're not saying it's okay you acted horribly to me. You're forgiving your role in that. That's what it is. The forgiveness disconnects the energy ties, is how I see it. It's kind of like a little mini cord cutting, where it's like, okay, here's this situation. I'm not going to feed that situation anymore. I'm going to forgive that situation. It's not forgiving deeds done, because that's their own issue. You don't need to feed it, and you don't need to engage with them to keep going. So don't think of forgiveness as a form of condoning bad behaviors, because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you and your role in someone else's behavior a lot of times. Or even maybe it's your own bad behavior you have to forgive and move out of. So you just remember, it's not saying like, it's okay, you're an asshole. It's just how you are. I forgive you. I love you. I'm sorry. No. It's like, I forgive you. I love you. I'm sorry, you're an asshole. And I'm not going to feed your asshole energy anymore. That's more what you're looking for. Not, it's okay, I forgive you. No, we're not talking that kind of thing. That kind of almost the forgiving of the bad behavior kind of stuff is almost very superficial, I think, at times. Especially if trust has not been re-earned. Because that kind of thing, that especially betrayal with people and things like that, that stuff takes time. It's not something that you're just like, oh yeah, I forgive you. I forgive you that crappy behavior. So remember that when you're healing, it's not saying it's okay, you're cruel or mean to me or abused me or did whatever you did to me. And the same goes for you. If you're cruel and mean to yourself, you need to forgive yourself, that behavior, and start finding ways you can change it. And that's where healing really starts coming in, when you're moving from love and compassion and being able to bring forgiveness in via those feelings is very, very powerful. Now, this is not something that gets forced. You cannot force healing. You can't be trying to ram it into the little peg that you think it should be, and it should be happening this fast on this path in this way. Remember, life's a scribble. Things are very rarely linear in healing and emotions. They're awfully everywhere. So don't think you're just going to like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'll be healed. No, it's going to be like this. And it's an ongoing process. You will always be healing yourself. It's just how it is. And that's okay. It's not bad. It just is. Yeah, really, if you can think the thought, you can heal it. It's one thing I truly believe. And I'm not saying that you can like think cancer away, things like that. There are things that are in some ways out of your control. But for the most part, on things like self-love, negative self-talk, trying to recover from abusive situations, dealing with getting fired or laid off, pay cut, whatever, crappy day at the office. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. You can heal bigger things, and there are other things that deal with things like ancestors, healing your soul, money wounds that go back generations, that do come into healing. But a lot of the stuff we heal is the everyday stuff. In those everyday wounds, they build up, and they kind of help create what we become in many ways, those everyday wounds, if you will. And those are also the things that I think we need to heal the most, so we can move past them and move from love and compassion in our daily lives. Because there's so many different levels of healing. There's the everyday wounds, there's the soul wounds, there's the ancestral wounds. I'm pretty sure there's world wounds too. Societal ones. Oh, geez. I mean, there's just so many things. You could think of different levels of healing and how your healing is going to impact those aspects that need to be healed. So, healing the little wounds of the everyday is what also kind of starts healing everything else that needs to be healed by granting you yourself compassion and love, and healing starts to grant others in your life those same things, and you start to move from that aspect of compassion and love once you start healing, as opposed to acting out of anger and spite. No one's perfect, so don't expect yourself to be perfect. And that's also part of healing. It's healing perfectionism. Oh my God. I am like the perfectionist who likes pretend she's not fun. And I can get very anal over certain things and not give a shit about other things. But yeah, I have a definite perfectionistic streak. I will mess with facial tones forever when painting. And I'll be like, God, it's awful, it's awful. And then finally I just have to make myself stop. I'm like, no, just stop. I put some hair on her, and I'm like, oh my God, I love her. But I may have spent like 3 hours just messing around with facial tones. And I'm really working on not allowing myself to get that crazed about the skin tone of a painting. Because oftentimes you put the hair on and you're like, oh my God, she's wonderful now. The perfectionism often needs to be healed, because was it Helena Bonham Carter who's fond of saying, embracing her imperfections, and what was that quote? Imperfection is overrated. Is underrated, not overrated. Or was it perfection was overrated? Something like that. She's always talking, she has a couple really excellent quotes about imperfection that are awesome. And not being perfect, and you're never going to be perfect, and to really embrace that imperfection within yourself. And that's part of healing, along with all those everyday wounds, the bigger wounds, the soul wounds, ancestral. And it does definitely deal with health. And you can, when you're willing to meet yourself where you are with a health issue. You can't meet yourself where you want to be. You can't meet yourself where you were, because you're not there anymore, and you're not somewhere else. You're right where you are. And granted, sometimes chronic conditions, meeting yourself where you are totally sucks. It can totally suck. I'm not going to say it's always fun healing. There are times where it's very difficult, and meeting yourself wherever, whether it's emotional, everyday wounds, physical, right here, right now, is not what you want to do. Yes, and one thing too, it's like if you're a reliver, healing can really help that whole reliving old incidents, because when you relive those things, it's amazing the amount of energy you throw at that reliving. And when you kind of take back that energy and start applying it to the now, wow, it was like, wow, that's a lot of energy that I just threw on something that can never be changed for years. So healing, you get your energy back sometimes, depending on what the behavior is and what's happening in your life. But inviting healing in is something you invite. You can't force it. And it really does need to come from a place of love and compassion and being in the now. Thanks for watching, and that's it on healing. The Singer of Healing, and I hardly showed that card at all, didn't I? Every once in a while I forget. There she is again. You're there, just ready to embrace you in a warm hug.